I came to Pakistan in 2018 and started practicing neurosurgery in Pakistan in 2018. Before that, I was a consultant neurosurgeon overseas. And when I came to Pakistan, I realized that we needed to build upon the services of neuro-oncology and brain tumor patients, okay? And but then I think you have to start and then you have to like gradually build up on it. So what I did was like I did several things when I came here, okay? I mean, I do spinal surgery as well. I started percutaneous spinal surgery, which is like doing spine surgery without a big cut, like percutaneously through the small stab incisions, or without a cut, they call it. Anyway, but then endoscopic surgery, minimally invasive neurosurgery, which is doing surgery with like a small cut so that the patient does not stay for that long in the hospital. And then gradually, like in this region of Pakistan, I introduced awake brain tumor surgery. And then at the same time, I was doing epilepsy surgery as well, which was introduced in this region. So I think everything was going on like that, that I was pushing forward the boundaries of what we can achieve over the past 4 years. And that was minimally invasive neurosurgery, which is like doing surgery through a small cut or a fine cut, or doing it in a way that the patient has very minimal trauma or minimal cut or minimal pain. And then at the same point, doing awake brain tumor surgery at the same point, which is done for reasons like, for example, if a patient is, if a tumor is close to a hand or arm area or speech area, or any important part of the brain, that if you go and try and damage that part of the brain, people can get paralysis of different sorts. So what I did was like 3 years it took me to like establish these separately, okay? Then over the last year, I started doing brain tumor surgeries in a way that I was doing brain tumor surgery, specifically the glioma surgery. There are different types of tumors in the brain, okay? The ones that are fairly common are called as gliomas, okay? So I started doing them in a way that they were staying for 24 hours, okay? So just one night stay and then the next day they would go home. But then to culminate all these 4 years worth of what I had been doing in Pakistan, because you have to like take patients into confidence, you have to take anesthetists into confidence, you have to take the whole team into confidence and the patient's family and everything. So once you build up that much trust, then I decided that we need to push the boundaries further. And considering like after like a significant number of brain tumors over the last year, which were just like 24-hour stay in the hospital, so we decided to take a step further and take this to a higher level, and that is do awake brain tumor surgery for a reason, because the patient Asim Sajjad was the one that I did before our 75th independence. And that was done awake because the tumor was close to his arm and leg area, okay? So I did him awake. Awake does not mean he's completely awake. That means like he had to have like lots of local anesthesia and a special form of sedation, mild sedation. But he was very responsive and without any pain. So I took his brain tumor out, which was of a sufficient size. And then I think because the surgery was done in a way that he was able to then basically walk away home the same day. So I'll tell you, the reality is I've got an established practice in this region. So patients come to me quite regularly, okay? And then I decide how to proceed with them. So this patient has had one surgery done before by me as well, and that was in 2018, I presume. So he had come at that time with a large tumor, okay? And which I removed. Then he was doing fine. Then the tumor came back, okay? And there are different types of tumors. His tumor, I think he's also one of a few patients that I would like to portray that he had brain cancer, okay? And he survived that cancer for quite a significant number of years now. And he had the tumor come back, and then I had to take it out all over again. And but brain cancers do tend to come back. So I had a long relationship with this patient. I've been managing him for many years now. And the reality is patients, do tend to come quite routinely. I mean, I've done 2 brain tumors today. I've got like 3 brain tumors I'm doing tomorrow. This is something I do as a routine. So patients come to me, and then I decide which patient is suitable for day case surgery. So the reality is the difficulty that generally in Pakistan you get is like getting patients on board. So the reality with me is that I'm quite a friendly chap, which you'll come to realize in due course. We can just speak to my patients. So once you have a patient in confidence, the patient's family in confidence, and then I think it becomes pretty much straightforward, okay? And then on top of that, like as I said, I've been doing awake surgery for a certain number of years, and I've been practicing minimally invasive surgery for a certain number of years. Getting anesthetists on board, they all know like what I do. So you have to have a team, and it's a matter of trust because you can't do everything alone. So you need a team for that. So once you have the whole team set up, and I had decided that this kind of tumor, we can gradually take it out in a. Sorry, I think. So that this tumor could be like done as a day case. Then we kind of had a panel discussion and we all agreed on it. And then I don't think there was much difficulty because it was the patient agrees, the family is in agreement. Then we go towards and we proceed. And I think that's. So the reality is neurosurgery in Pakistan, I've been pushing boundaries since I came here. Okay, so Pakistan neurosurgery is now, I mean, neuro-oncology, I can safely say that I think we are, if not better, we are on par with the rest of the world in neuro-oncology at present, the way the services are being provided right now. I can't say for every single institution, but currently my aim is to provide it in a way that nobody has to go anywhere outside Pakistan to break it. I mean, I wouldn't want to go into the detail of what the government setup is and what happens there because I don't work in government setups. But I think one thing does need to be improved in Pakistan, and I've been like not very vocal about it, and that is the number of years a neurosurgeon should be trained. Okay, so for example, the minimum training in minimum number of years that anybody is trained in, for example, Europe, is around from medical school. It takes them between 10 to 12 years to become a neurosurgeon. Okay, with a significant number of years in neurosurgery. And the same goes to US because I was trained in both countries, in US and in UK as well. Is around 10 years. Okay, and then you end up doing fellowships. So neurosurgery minimum training goes up to 12 years. Okay. I've done longer training than that. My training was probably around 16 years plus, I think. But the reality is, in Pakistan, the number of years to get trained as a consultant neurosurgeon, I mean, I've got nothing against it as well, but I think it's a bit less. I mean, you can't become a neurosurgeon in 2 years. I mean, the training of neurosurgery, you work in Pakistan, I think that needs to be worked on, and that has to be a joint decision with all my senior colleagues in neurosurgery that we need to increase that. We need to increase the quality of neurosurgeons, not the quantity. And that is something I think I'll be raising it at this Pakistan Society of Neurosurgery conference in November as well, that 2 years is not sufficient to become a neurosurgeon. So the reality is every surgery that you're doing as a neurosurgeon, despite, I don't know how many have done any kind of surgery, I think I do tend to like take maybe a minute or 2 minutes of just sit, relax, focus your mind, and then you go into any surgery that you're going to do. And that's just standard, I think. You can't just you can't take any surgery lightly in neurosurgery. Everything is fairly challenging, complicated. Even a simple surgery can become very complex at times. So you have to be very focused. And the reality is you have to have a sufficient number of years behind you to be able to perform highly complex surgeries. And that gives you not just confidence, but the experience as well that you have, that you've seen all different types of things that can go wrong in a surgery over the years. Then you focus your mind. And I tend to actually sit for like a minute alone in silence, just focus my mind, and then go towards any complex surgery that I'm going to do. The reality of day case glioma surgery is it's been a dream of mine, and I think finally it has come to fruition, or only the beginning of it has come to fruition. And this also has impact on like the current economic situation. For example, people can't seem to afford private hospitals, and because I know currently if you have a brain tumor surgery, you end up in surgical ICU for a day, and then you spend 5 days in hospital, and your bill comes up to 1 million Pakistani rupees. Okay, but you can get the surgery done as a day case. Not every case, but certain selected cases you can get them as a day case, and your bill is less than a fifth or whatever of the total, and you get a higher end care at the same point. So I think, of course, not everybody has 1 million to get a surgery done. Okay, but you have, if I get my trainees are still getting trained, I think, but if they come to a point and that they can perform these surgeries alone in different parts of the Pakistan, I think I would be the happiest person in the world.